In the last video, we computed the chi-square statistic, and we got a p-value out of that. And I told you the difference between sort of what type of situation you'd want to use a t-test and what type of situation you want to use chi-square. I know this section is all about conversion marketing and A/B testing. Most of the time, if you're using some sort of third-party vendor software to do this, those packages will automatically pick for you whether or not it should be using like a t-test type of situation, or a t-test, or a test similar to a t-test, or whether you should be using chi-square. But remember that this is about a lot more than just conversion marketing and A/B testing, because you can use these statistical tests in all sorts of different contexts. Now I'm going to show you how to compute chi-square using SPSS. I want you to see what SPSS looks like. Some of you may be deciding to go into academic research or social scientific research in some capacity in the future, and many of those people are using SPSS these days, and I think that that will continue even though R is expanding and expanding in industry. Either way, you'll have to have your data formatted in a slightly different way in order to use SPSS or R. So in Excel, when we just computed this, you saw I had these rows and columns here. And then we computed these row totals and columns totals. It's going to look a little bit different. So group A and group B, that's a single variable. For SPSS, you'll need to have your variables formatted like you can see over here to the left. So we have group is represented as a single variable. If you're in group A, you get a 1. If you're in group, yes, that is correct. If you are in group A, you get a 1, and if you're in group B, you get a 0. And then clicked or not clicked, you can see, right? 2 people clicked in group A, and you can see they're represented by these specific rows. For this person clicked and this person clicked. And then for group B, you can see 3 people clicked, and they are represented by these rows here. The people who didn't click are represented by zeros. So I actually just created a separate file that had just these 2 columns in it, and that's in the file section of the course. And if I open up SPSS, you can see what those data look like. I will skip forward because SPSS takes a long time to open. Alright, I'm back, and here we are. SPSS has opened. Here's the window it gives me. If you're, obviously SPSS costs money. You can go to campus and use it in one of the libraries for free, or you can download a trial version. Your version might be different from my version, but I'll go to open another file. It should run on Windows and Mac as well. I'll go to where I have stored that file on the Google Drive. Teaching Summer Research Course, Section 1, and I have stored it as a comma-separated values file. So chi-square data for R and SPSS, I'll open that, and SPSS will take a moment to figure out what's going on here. Okay, so this text import wizard came up. You can actually see the data right here, but it doesn't know what to do with this file. So, does your text file match a predefined format? No, it doesn't. Continue. Are variable names included at the top of your file? Yes, they are. It is delimited. Continue. Each line does represent a case. All of the cases, we want to import all of the cases. Continue. Okay, it automatically chose comma. Things are starting to look good here in the data preview. I click continue. Specifications for the variables. Just I'm going to go back real quick. Where's the text file? Okay, there we go. Data format numeric. We will continue. That should be the name. And then we can be done. Okay, so now SPSS has opened the data. You can see it looks a lot like a regular spreadsheet. We've got rows and columns, but we actually have column titles, and those are the names of our variables, and our rows are our cases. Most of the time, these rows are going to be people, but it could be really any unit. And SPSS has this thing down at the bottom. You'll see it says data view, and then just to the right of that it says variable view, and then you can see you've got some information about each variable over here. We won't deal too much with that. Let's go back to the data view. If we want to run a chi-square, it's very simple. We go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Crosstabs. We put group into our row variable, and whether or not they clicked into the column variable. Actually, the statistics shouldn't matter which variable is the row and which is the column. And then we want to ask SPSS to give us a specific statistic, so I clicked on the statistics button. Make sure the chi-square checkbox is checked. Click continue, click OK, and let it do its thing. We get an output window here. If we go down to this chi-square test, we can see here's our table that we made by hand earlier, 7, 3, 8, and 2. And then we have a Pearson chi-square value reported over here. And it says the two-sided significance value is 0.606. If we go back to our Excel file where we computed this, that is 0.6055, which is exactly the same thing that SPSS got. SPSS is just rounding it up a little bit. So that's how you compute it in, that's how you compute a chi-square test in SPSS. In the next video, I will show you how to compute it in R.